Russian President Vladimir Putin has ruled out a tit-for-tat response after the U.S. expelled 35 Russian diplomats amid the row over hacking. He said Russia would not stoop to the level of irresponsible diplomacy but would work to restore ties with the U.S. under President-elect Donald Trump. Russia's foreign ministry had formally asked Mr. Putin to expel 35 U.S. envoys. The country denies involvement in hacking related to the U.S. election, calling U.S. sanctions ungrounded. Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev accused the outgoing U.S. administration of President Barack Obama of ending in anti-Russian death throes. Diplomatic spat goes undiplomatic. What are the luxury Russian compounds? Under the U.S. action taken on Thursday, 35 diplomats from Russia's Washington embassy and its consulate in San Francisco were declared persona non grata and given 72 hours to leave the U.S. with their families to properties said to have been used by Russian intelligence services in New York and Maryland will be closed. Sanctions were announced against 9 entities and individuals including 2 Russian intelligence agencies, the GRU and the FSB. Mr. Obama, who will be replaced by Donald Trump on January 20, had vowed action against Russia amid U.S. accusations that it directed cyber attacks on the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton's campaign. Emails stolen from her campaign manager and from the servers of the Democratic National Committee, some containing embarrassing information for Democrats, were released during the election campaign. A skilled hand, Jonathan Marcus, BBC diplomatic correspondent. This was a carefully stage-managed response from Mr. Putin, dangling the possibility of tit-for-tat expulsions and then showing magnanimity in postponing any response, at least for now. It is fundamentally a put-down for the Obama administration, suggesting that, in Moscow's view, it is such a lame duck, so irrelevant, as to make any response unnecessary. It also poses an immediate test for President-elect Trump. Will he be convinced by the evidence the U.S. intelligence agencies say they have? And, if so, what course will he steer in his relations with Russia? This is no new Cold War. Russia is simply a kind of pocket superpower, nothing like the Soviet Union of old. But Mr. Putin has shown here in relations with the West, as in Ukraine and Syria, that he can play a limited hand with great skill. Mr. Trump will need to respond to this challenge in a decisive but graduated way. Come to the tree. In a statement on the Kremlin website in Russian, Mr. Putin said, "We won't be expelling anyone. We won't be banning their families and children from the places where they usually spend the New Year holidays. Furthermore, I invite all children of American diplomats accredited in Russia to the New Year and Christmas tree in the Kremlin." He wished Barack Obama and his family a happy New Year, as well as Mr. Trump and the whole American people. In a message on the presidential website, Mr. Putin said that, with the accession of Mr. Trump, the 2 states, acting in a constructive and pragmatic manner, can take real steps for restoration of mechanisms for bilateral cooperation. The view of the Russian embassy, December 29. In Washington, image copyright Tofaki image caption. The U.S. expulsions affect staff at the Russian embassy in Washington. President-elect Trump has dismissed the hacking claims as ridiculous and said Americans should get on with our lives when asked previously about the possibility of sanctions. However, he said late on Thursday he would meet U.S. intelligence chiefs next week to be updated on the facts of this situation. 18 revelations from WikiLeaks that Clinton emails can't a hack be traced to Russia. Russia's foreign ministry had reportedly suggested expelling 31 U.S. diplomats from Moscow and 4 from St. Petersburg. It also suggested banning U.S. diplomats from their dachas, holiday homes in Serebryny near Moscow, and a warehouse on Moscow's Dorochnia Street. Russia is sending a special plane to the U.S. to fly home its diplomats. The move followed reports that they were struggling to buy plane tickets because flights were full ahead of the New Year holiday. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has denied a report by CNN that Moscow is shutting down a school attended by diplomats' children. She said it was a lie that the Anglo-American school faced closure as retaliation. Meanwhile, the Russian embassy to the UK tweeted a visual gag calling the Obama presidency a lame duck. Russian embassy tweets, President Obama expels 35 Russian diplomats in Cold War.edu. As everybody, include American people, will be glad to see the last of this hapless ADM. Image copyright that our USSR and EMBASSC getting nasty. Pavel Felgenhauer, the Russian military affairs analyst, told BBC World Service things were going to get very nasty from here on in. But U.S. Democrat Senator Amy Klobuchar, who is currently on a visit to the Baltic states, told the BBC it would have been a mistake for the U.S. not to respond to the hacking. This is something that is not just about American democracy, it's about all democracies, she said. There's upcoming